Good afternoon to all of you. The Center for Counseling Services and Studies in Self-Development has organized a national webinar on mental health issues. I welcome all of you on behalf of our center. Uh, I am happy to announce that our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor Sir, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Ghosh, uh, our Honorable Register Ma'am, Dr. Snehamanju Bosu, have joined with us. Uh, our two distinguished speakers have already joined. Dr. Deepthrup Chaudhary from Tejpur University, and Professor Shantanu Vishwas from Jadavpur University. Before entering the theme of our today's webinar, I want to share some information about our center. Jadavpur University has more than 40 research center, and counseling center is one of them. Basically, the name of this center is the Center for Counseling Services and Studies in Self-Development. The aim of this center is basically two parts. So one is to provide counseling service to the stakeholders of our university, any student, teaching staffs, non-teaching staffs, and their core-relatives may get counseling service if they fall in any mental problem or disorder. We have a psychological counselor, a clinical psychologist, and a psychiatrist. This center provides counseling service during last 15 years. I am happy to announce that our center has provided counseling session through audio and also video mode to 42 clients and 3 clients to the psychiatric help from April to August. Another part is to enhance our self-development. The center continued 2-year PG diploma course in counseling and stress management from 2014. Now 6 batches running, and UGC has given seed money for opening this course. One more thing is that our 4th semester student take some opportunity to do their internship in Medical College and NRS, Calcutta. But we are not able to continue our teaching learning process in this pandemic situation. Our center has planned to organize different types of webinars, workshops, special lectures throughout the year. Apart from our institution, we are doing some activities as community service. Especially, we went many academic institutions last 5 years and try to inquire the stressors of the students and its management. I have also a project on the effects of stress on young adults in West Bengal, funded by RUSA 2. Recently, I want to share one thing that Calcutta High Court has given us another opportunity to provide counseling service to the inmates of 4 correctional homes in West Bengal. About the now I want to introduce the aim of this webinar. Basically, we are confined in home more than 6 months. And in this period, we are facing many kinds of anxiety, not only from myself, but also our neighbor, our family members, our friends, etc. We want to throw some light through this webinar to the students. Especially, I want to address what type of stress they feel and try to adopt some mechanism by which they can free from stress and lead to a normal life. The intensity now the intensity of coronavirus has decreased a bit, but our level of anxiety or distress has not decreased that much. We always try to reach distressed people, especially to the stakeholders of our university, as well as external, as well as extended our service by Touching Lives, which is an organization consists of our ex-students of our center for general people, basically. So this is an awareness program how to enhance our mental well-being. I want to mention here that I do not have any technical assistant to organize this national webinar. So first of all, I would like to apologize in advance if any kind of technical problem or technical hazard has arisen during this webinar. Now, our Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Suranjan Das, always encourage us to organize this kind of program, but due to some another assignment, he is not able to join this webinar. So I request our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Sir, Dr. Pradeep Kumar Ghosh, to inaugurate this webinar through your inaugural speech. Dr. Ghosh is associated with our center for several years and joined our many programs. So over to you, sir. Please.
Good afternoon, Professor Mondal, and also good afternoon to all participants, particularly our guest speaker, Dr. Diptarup Choudhury and Professor Shantanu Vishwas of our university. And I also think Professor Sanjeev Britha is also present here, and other faculty members, Register Madam, and my dear students and other dignitaries. Actually, I am not very competent person to speak on this particular issue, mental health related issues. But what Professor Mondal mentioned that really during March to May or June first week, we were not able to move outside because it was a complete lockdown, no transportation, and even from state government or central government, there was a bar in moving out. So we were confined. But after that, unlock period started, and we are still thinking to be confined. I think we need to now also open up ourselves. That is the problem that mental health, I think, you may discuss. And the subject you have chosen is a very broad one. It is not related to only this pandemic situation. In any case, all people, irrespective of the age, caste, creed, profession, all are in some stressed condition. And that is why, particularly in university, since we are dealing with the very vulnerable section of the students who are always anxious about their lifestyle and everything. So these type of centers should be there. And in Jadavpur University, this center is running for a long time, as Professor Mondal mentioned. And obviously, the people associated with this center earlier also, they have taken this to a new high, so that Professor Mondal and now Professor Britha is taking this in further better position. And I think our main motto, since we are in university, first motto should be to interact with the student. We need interaction. We need interaction. It is not there is a center, you come if you have any problem, but every time they have to understand when they feel what anxiety is, what stress is, and what sort of stress, they should understand that yes, this is the condition where I need counseling. And counseling is nothing but just another type of treatment, or just going to a doctor. If you are ill, then you are going to a doctor. So if you are stressed, you need someone to motivate you, and counselors are mainly motivator. Very recently, I think you all have observed the movie Mukherjee Dar Bhou, and very interestingly, there was a counseling between the daughter-in-law and mother-in-law. So that was a very nice type of counseling. So in family also there are many problems, and obviously in students' life there are relation among the friends, relation among the male student, female students, and so on, so on. And we need to counsel them. And in many cases, we are facing, there are some sporadic cases of ragging or some cases of ICC, under ICC, and we need to give the students understanding what is the problem with their behavior, and that is why the other complaint, who is lodging the complaint, why he or she is complaining. So we have to understand this, and we have to. So my suggestion is always that it is not should be confined within the four walls of the center. You have to come out and make such type of seminar, workshop, and particularly workshop is very much required, because it is not a case of just 1 hour lecture or like that. It is a case of a case study. You have to give them the understanding. So workshop is the better option in giving the idea to the student to understand the society, to understand their stress, to understand their other issues, and to understand how they should come out of their anxiety and stresses. Because in every step of life, we are facing some sort of problems. So we need to how to overcome those problems. So for example, as I mentioned, during the first 3 months, there was complete lockdown, but now it is unlocked period. But still, people are in fear. There are reasons. There are obviously different reasons for people like us. We are aged people. Now, naturally, if we get ill, then it is very difficult to get on good hospital. So that is one anxiety always in our mind. And in young cases, what they have no anxiety, they are moving freely, and that is also not good. So this type of ideas to be also awareness. Few days back, I was also talking to another webinar on NSS. So this is a very interesting scheme, and this 24th September was the NSS day, and on that day, I also spoke to the students. Yes, your service is required, and your service is right at this moment to aware the people. And if you know the system, if you know what is a pandemic, what is the basic awareness required in case of this COVID-19, then you can also tell to your neighbors or associated peoples what sort of action should be taken. In any case, I am not going to say too far. Again, I first should express my gratitude to all the participants. I sincerely thanks on my personal behalf and on behalf of university to all the participants, particularly the guest speaker, expert speakers who will speak in this afternoon. And I do hope this program will be a success. And finally, what happens, there will be a greater awareness, and then the people will come up openly to the center and to the people associated with this center, so that they can express themselves and come out with some solutions. With this few words, I hope this program will be a great success, and Professor Bhattacharya may join later on, and he will also say something, and Madam is also there. Madam will also say something, and finally, we will get valuable expert opinion from the guest speaker. With this few words, I am again thanking you all. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your enthusiastic speech. We encourage enough from your inaugural address. We shall try our best to do according to your suggestions, and hope you will remain with us in future in this way. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now I request our guest of honor, Dr. Snehamanju Bosu, Registrar of Jadavpur University, to say few words in this inaugural session. I want to express one thing that I invited her in our last national workshop, which was on children in conflict with law. But due to unavoidable circumstances, she could not attend. But today we are fortunate enough to have with us. Please, madam.
Good afternoon, everybody. Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Professor Pradip Kumar Ghosh, Honorable Guest Speaker, Shantanu Babu and Devrup Babu, Professor Shamar Kumar Mondol, Professor Sanjeev Mridha, and all the participants and my dear students. On behalf of the university and on behalf of myself, I like to welcome all of you in the one-day national level webinar on the theme mental health related issues organized by the Center for Counselling Services and Studies in Self-Development, Jadavpur University. I am especially thankful to the organizer, Professor Shamar Kumar Mondol and Sanjeev Mridha, for inviting me in the inaugural session of this seminar. Really, in the past, I was really sorry I couldn't attend one or two programs, but me, myself, and our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, Sir Pradip Babu, were always associated with this center because in our university, we have to face so many problems with the students, and we have to take the help of this center, especially the coordinators, Professor Mondol and Professor Mridha. They always extended their help and they always extended their service to us, and ultimately we succeeded. Our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor has very vividly and very clearly narrated what we actually mean by the term counseling and why we need counseling. Generally, we all know our physical problems or our physical need that can be detected very easily, but our mental problem or our anxiety or our stress, that is very difficult for detection. So how we can detect it, why we need counseling, what is the role of this center, that our physical vividly explained. Our physical need that can be detected very easily, but our mental problem or our anxiety or our stress, that is very difficult for detection. How we can detect it, why we need counseling. But generally we all know that our physical problems or our physical needs that can be detected very easily. Professor Mondol also very clearly described the activities of this center and how it helped the whole community during the lockdown and before lockdown also. At present, we are going through a very strange, unpredictable, hard time about which we have never thought of. We have lost our former Dean, Professor Subhashis Vishwas, on 15/9/2020, some non-teaching staff, including Tapan Babu in my office staff, in this severe pandemic. I feel really sorry and aggrieved for them and for this irreparable loss. My heartfelt grief and prayer for the departed soul and bereaved family members. In this situation, we all have to stay fit physically and mentally. Emotional well-being plays a significant role in maintaining positive mental health. It controls the health-seeking behavior improves decision-making skill, increases interpersonal communication, and helps recover from stressful situation or illness. Psychological aspect, however, which is called emotion, is usually neglected. COVID-19 emerged in the Wuhan province of China in the end of 2019, and over a span of next 6 months, it has spread to majority of the countries around the world. Strict quarantine was implemented, and several countries, including India, they went to lockdown to control this unprecedented pandemic. The implementation of quarantine had life-saving benefits, but it also led to many adverse consequences. Social isolation produced incredible stress and led to the emergence of new psychological challenges like anxiety, depression, post-traumatic stress, panic attack, suicide, and serious psychological issues. Aristotle once said that man is a social animal. So he's supposed to live in groups or in a family and as a large community. These groups and social living has a deep impact on his mental health and helped maintaining psychological integrity. When this component or part of this life is hampered, it invokes high levels of stress and subsequently caused mental illness. So in this pandemic, when we are mainly socially isolated, socially detached, it is very common that all of us, but mainly aged persons and youngers, they have stress, mental stress, anxiety, and all these things. So in this situation, this seminar is a very contemporary one. I think it will throw light on these issues, how we can overcome our mental anxiety, which Professor Mondol and our Professor Pradip Kumar Ghosh also mentioned, that why we have stress or anxiety in this pandemic situation. So there are two eminent speakers. I'm sure they will throw light on these issues, and the listeners, all the participants will be enlightened, and this seminar will create a lot of awareness among the listeners how to get rid of this mental condition. I will not extend my lectures anymore because there are special persons who have specialty, who have expertise in this field. They will enlighten us, I'm sure. So I wish this seminar a grand success. Thank you once again, all of you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, madam, for your kind information and also your encourageous speech. Our Honorable Pro Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Chiranjeev Bhattacharya, joined with us. Professor Bhattacharya is associated with this center, with our center for several years, and have joined many programs before. So now I request Professor Chiranjeev Bhattacharya to speak his speech and enlighten with us from your lecture. What do you, sir? Chiranjeev, sir.
Yes, thank you, Professor Shamar Kumar Mondal. It's really nice to be present at this particular one-day webinar, which is being organized by our Counselling Center and the Department of Philosophy. It's really great. In fact, I have attended several other programs also, which was organized by Professor Mondal. And in fact, during this particular COVID-19 pandemic, the lockdown period, he organized another webinar also which I have attended. In fact, I encouraged him to organize this sort of webinar because nowadays, particularly during this particular lockdown or presently unlock phase is going on, unlock 4.0. So under this particular condition, the people are under a lot of stress. We had a long lockdown period starting from 24th of March, I think, the national lockdown that particular commenced, and that continued for weeks after weeks. During that particular period, the counseling centers could play a very important role, and various counseling centers also contributed a lot to the general well-being of the people across the nation. In fact, the counseling center at Jadavpur University, under the leadership of Professor Shamar Kumar Mandal and Professor Sanjeev Prida, they did really well. In fact, they organized many programs. In fact, they communicated the different methods or the modalities, how to keep ourselves mentally and physically fit during this particular lockdown period. This particular social distancing norms, which is being implemented to combat the COVID-19 pandemic, it is creating distances, the physical distances among the persons, and the people are basically confined or quarantined within their home. So it is a forcible, it is a forced isolation in that particular sense. So it is creating some sort of stress, anxiety, some sort of phobia among every persons, that what will happen. Nowadays, people are, they are very much socially connected, though particularly presently this particular social media through Facebook, WhatsApp, these are helping a lot. In fact, if this particular COVID-19 pandemic occurred in the year of, in the decade of 80s or 90s, then it would have created a much more problem, because at that time, the physical interaction is the only method of interacting one people with the other people. So social media, those are present nowadays, this Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, etc. These were not present in the decade of 80s or 90s. So obviously it is helping a little bit, no doubt, but excessive use of the social media is also sometimes creating a problem, because the people are not being able to interact with the persons face to face. Particularly, the situation is much more prominent in case of the students. It may be the school students, the school goers, it may be the college students or the university students. In Jadavpur universities also, there are many students who are basically confined to their home in the remote villages. Say in the Purulia, Bankura, they are now staying. They are being forced to stay there because the college is shut down, the hostel is completely closed. So under these circumstances, there is no other option. So how they will continue their study, their academics? So it's a big challenge, no doubt. So under these particular circumstances, people are facing a lot of problem, lot of stress and anxiety, and how to overcome this. So in that particular respect, the counseling center can play a very important role. In my relative circles, I've seen some school children. Say, suppose I'm just citing one example of a particular relative's daughter who is studying in the class 3. And previously, nowadays, particularly in our class, the people generally, the children used to go to drawing class or swimming session or some music classes along with the schools. Now it is completely closed. That particular child is being confined to stay in the home months after months, and it is creating a lot of problem. It is developing her behavioral change. So this is actually nowadays coming within the child itself because of the long-term confinement of that particular child within the house itself. So it's a forcible confinement. So there is no other options. Previously, there were a lot of options through these particular outdoor activities through which he or she can interact with the other persons of her or his age. So nowadays it is completely closed. So there is no school, there is no swimming session, there is no drawing class, there is no music class, nothing is there. So everything is closed and the student is staying, the child is staying completely at her own house. So obviously it is creating some sort of mental problem, behavioral change. And in this particular case, the counselor can play a very big role. In fact, it is true for the college students or the university students at our Jadavpur universities also. They are mature, no doubt, compared to that particular child. But obviously, even in our life also, the things have changed quite a lot. Whatever we were doing years before, so nowadays we are just, our work schedule has changed, work pattern has changed. It is not only for us, in fact, for every corporate house also. Now, work from home, this WFH, this particular concept is very much common. We have to get accustomed with that particular concept. Now, in Kolkata, also several IT sectors are permanently switching over their working pattern to the work from home WFH concept. So nowadays, due to introduction of this sort of methodology, our work pattern is changing, our family pattern is changing. So we need to accustom with this particular changing scenario. And this particular change is definitely creating lots of problem within the human being. And under these particular conditions, this counseling session or the counseling centers, it may be Jadavpur University Counseling Center, it may be any other counseling center, they can play a very big role under this particular circumstances. Now, Jadavpur University Counseling Center is doing very well. I always encourage Professor Mandal. He is very dynamic. He is doing a lot of things, obviously. I always encourage him to continue with this type of the webinar. It is very unfortunate that in Jadavpur University, very less amount of webinars are being organized. I am getting invitation from several other institutes also to participate in their webinar as a chief guest or as a participant or as an expert. But in Jadavpur University, unfortunately, very less amount of webinars are being organized. Only exception is this particular counseling center. It is the second webinar, as I can just recall. So I always encourage to continue with these activities, and I wish a great success of this webinar as well as the counseling center as a whole. So I thank you all, and there are some expert speakers also. I think they will be able to deliver some important and valuable concepts. So with this, I want to conclude. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. We are very much encouraged from your speech. I hope we will remain. You will remain with us in future, no doubt. So with the permission of chair, I declare that the inaugural session is over now, and there is no break at all. So we are now going to start our academic discussion, academic approach. Here, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you. Best wishes to all of you.
Professor Chiranjeev Bhattacharya, Dr. Ghosh, and also our registrar ma'am. Thank you very much. Now,
thank you and best wishes for the program.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.